Good morning. I am deep in the Cherokee National Forest. I've run a little over 6 miles, I think, to get here on a day that there was a 20% chance of snow. And you see the snow or the freezing rain or whatever it is bouncing off of my head here. It's beautiful. And I'm in a very special place here in the Cherokee National Forest, and I want to share this place with you for just a moment. This is a place that at one time was a homestead. Someone lived here, a family lived here. And in the springtime, actually in late February, this is usually full of daffodils. And I'm just certain that it's daffodils that the family planted. And there's also a little grassy field just a little ways away, right down the trail you can see here in front of me. And I wonder if they didn't plant that grass, not because they wanted a nice yard, but because they need to feed their livestock. And this family, I'm just guessing really, spent their whole lives here, down here in this hollow deep in the Cherokee National Forest until, for whatever reason, they moved. It may be the government bought their land to form the forest. And there is almost no trace of them left. The daffodils and the grass are basically all that is left of this family. And that reminds me, in 2 Peter, we are told that all human beings are like grass, or like flowers of the field. And we burst up and we're beautiful, but then we wither and fade. And yet God is eternal. This is a week in which we are thinking about legacy, because when one presidential administration ends and another begins, there's all kinds of talk about legacy. And we won't go into the political legacies of this week. That's not the point of this. My point really is that most of us won't have much of a legacy. It'll be very much like this place that I'm in, where there will just be very faint traces that we were ever here. Like the grass, we burst out, hopefully flowered beautifully, and then we fade away. And it can be very painful, or it could be very depressing, but in fact, it isn't, because we have a wonderful legacy in that God loves us. The 8th Psalm says, "When I consider the heavens, the handiwork of your fingers, the sun and the moon that you hung, I wonder, what in the world are human beings that you even think of us, mortals that you would even care about us?" But then it goes on to remind us that God loves us so very, very much. Our legacy is that in spite of how short our lives are, perhaps how in at least the grand scheme of history, inconsequential our lives might be, our lives are lives in which we are loved by God. To be loved by God is all we need, and I am so thankful for that. We are loved by God because God is with us, and that is a beautiful present reality and a wonderful eternal legacy for all of us. Amen.